All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee Q&A here on the Onocoffee Challenge. Your host, and we normally do this live stream most Monday through Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. How y'all doing? Welcome back to the show. Oh, who's already? Q&A. Hello to you, Q&A. Half a day, Andrew. Hey, Kent. How are you? Good to see all of you guys here. So today we've got something interesting. One of my uncles, went to the Philippines for a visit and came back, and he brought some, in the Philippine culture, you typically will buy what's called pasalubong, and it's very similar to, I can't remember the name of it, but basically the Japanese do something very similar, and now I can't remember the term. I know you guys will know this, but a lot of times, and I think a lot of cultures will do this, when you travel someplace, you usually bring back gifts for family and some of your close friends. In the Philippines, we call this thing pasalubong, and typically it's foods of the places that you went to visit rather than other types of items. Naomi, good morning to you. Naomi, you would know this, but what is the term? The term escapes me from, I want to say, like, it begins with an O, but basically when you buy food stuff to give to your friends and family. Anyway, so one of the things he brought this back for us. He brought this thing called hopia, and hopia is a Philippine pastry, and this particular one comes from a place called Ribbonette. Ribbonette is in Taguig City, and specifically from the barangay of Tipas. And Tipas is when we say barangay is kind of like a neighborhood, a barrio, a ward, a prefect, not a prefecture. Prefectures are much larger, but the one saying, like a more local neighborhood kind of thing. So barangay is the name that in Tagalog. But so it's in a place called Tipas within Taguig City, which is actually very close. It's all part of the Metro Manila area, and Taguig City has been more known lately for a part of it that's called BGC, Bonifacio Global City, which used to be the old military air base that the government abandoned, or they stopped using the air base. Private developers came in and created this new Manhattan style, or should I say Midtown Manhattan style of like city in the middle of this old base. Omiyagi, thank you, Kiyomi, thank you. Russell, good morning to you. Brian's with us. Dang, if I would have stopped by, if I known there was a... You're always welcome. So we've got this, and we're going to go into this a little bit, but I thought let's first, one of the things we want to have is coffee to go with it. So let's start by, I've got a little bit of this Philippine coffee left. Actually, not very much of it. I have no idea how much is in here, but it's obscenely low. I thought about using something else, but I thought, well, if I have some Philippine coffees, I've got a lot of Philippine coffees, but they're still in their green form. So we're going to see what's in here and see if we can actually utilize it to make some level of coffee, which I don't know if I'm very optimistic about, because I mean we're talking minuscule amounts. Oh yeah, see. Okay, we have, there's a little bit more. There is no more left. Okay, so we have 6 grams of coffee, which means that we can use 2 grams for every finished ounce. We can make a 3-ounce drink. Is that right? Did I do that right? 2 grams for every finished ounce. 2 grams for every finished ounce is 12 ounces. No, that can't be right. That's definitely not right. We used, for every finished, for 12-ounce cup, we're using 24 grams. So yeah, so 6 grams, we need a 3-ounce. 3-ounce, okay. You'd think after how many years that I've been doing this, I would have that so snappy. Okay, we'll just give it a try and see what we can do about this. So we've got 6 grams. How do we do this? All right, let's move this here. I'm going to get our lovely grinder. And yesterday we set it for the cold brew, or the other day we set it for the cold brew. So now we're going to, it's a little bit tight. I wonder if there's coffee still inside. could make a blend, but I was like, let's do like, okay, so let's see. Is there anything left in here? Because rotating it tighter has, I feel, greater resistance, so that, which gives me the impression that there's still something in the burrs. Yes, it's so much easier to move. We're going to go a little bit more retard on this so that we can get finer grind and slow down. Because we're only using 3 grams, we're going to slow down our brewing. And there wasn't too much, and there's a little bit of, you can see there's a little bit larger particulates that were left in. They were still stuck between the 2 burrs from the grind we used the last time. It's kind of messy. So let us give 6 grams. Here's something that I'm not liking about this. They have a texturing on the ring here. And I guess I should like wash it and scrub it out, but I mean, it is getting discolored. So kind of why not just make a blend and make a bigger cup? And here's something that I just thought that we would work on for this, is that you can make pretty much coffee from any quantity, and you can tailor it depending on how much you have. Like in this case, this is the #1 lot from one of the auctions from a place called Finca de Garces down in Bukidnon in the southern part of the Philippines, natural process Katimor coffee. So very high quality. I mean, this is the #1. So it got a lot of love, and I mean, it is kind of old, but you know, what can you do? What can you do? So we got that. Marco, how are you? And we're going to brew coffee in our brewer here. So let's get everything together. There we are. Maybe we should use, we'll use this. I was going to say, maybe we should use some other thing. Power Plant, how are you, man? Good to see you. So we're going to fold this over to get our conical fix. Now we're using 6 grams. 6 grams of coffee. Here's our 6 grams. Oh, I have to change that. Oh, there's I haven't really smelt it, but I can wafting from it. There's this beautiful, like, fruity, natural aromatics, fragrances. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay, let's go back to Tear. We're going to go to Brew Assist. And this will tell us. So the nice thing about this is that you could sit here and readily calculate your ratios, right? So we already know we're using 6 grams, just under 6 grams, 5.8 grams. And we already know our ratio is for every 2 grams, we have 1 finished ounce. So for 6 grams, we have 3 ounces. But with this scale, if you don't want to think too much and you choose like here, our ratio turns out to be 1 to 14.5. So this will tell us now, based more precisely on how much we really should be putting in for water. So we put that in there. How much does it give us? So we have more coffee. Oh, this Gen 2 really gives more. So obviously we had 5.8 grams. We came out with 6 grams. Somewhere along the way, there's extra coffee embedded. So we have a little bit of a blend. As you can see, we have just a little bit of coffee here. Now, it's not much, but a little bit finer ground than we normally use. Kent says, with only 6 grams, you should go with the deep 27. Oh, really? Okay, all right. Let me go get that. We will go with that. Let me go find it. It's in one of these boxes over here. D27. Where are you? There it is. All right, D27. Thank you, Tony, for the D27. Very exciting to have it. I've got fun filters. Although I have to be honest, I do find the filters to be somewhat a bit annoying. And not necessarily because they're bad filters. They're not bad filters. The only thing is that I find annoying is that now that the bag is open, the bag is slippery. So every time I like leave it somewhere, it just wants to slide out. And it just slides out because they're wedges, right? So they're wedges, so there's more of them. And they just, for whatever reason, they like to slide out and they fall everywhere. Then I got to pick it up, and it's very stressful. It's a very stressful kind of thing. Okay, so let's go back now. Deep 27. The Cafec. Okay, Kev, any suggestions on how we might best alter what we're doing to meet the better needs of the Deep 27? Deep 27. Move this over here. Does that mean we should change our brewing vessel to another one? Where are the other ones? Okay, let's do that. We're going to deep 27, and we're going to go to the glass. We're going to go to glass. It's just going to give us a little bit of a different experience, right? Okay, so we've got our setup here, right? This is the Temu Hario knockoff, $7 still. Actually, I think it's very. Was it Temu? I think it was Temu. And then now we need a deep 27 here. Again, I'm a stickler for folding this over because I'd like it to lay flat. And then the deep 27 we're putting in here like that, okay. And then the bottom sticks out quite, which I think is fine. Okay, now we need to re-tear. Otherwise, Naomi's going to be like, "What are you doing? You're doing it wrong again." So we got it all. Excellent. So 6 grams of coffee. Let me reboil the water. And let's use we're going to use the Kogu kettle again. I'm actually finding this to be quite nice and enjoyable because I do like the more precision pour from this particular spout. So that's a combination of the way that it's curved, the slope or the shape of the spout, and then the diameter of the tube. It's much more, it is quite nice, and it prevents you from going too fast. Now I know you might be saying that, oh, well, why do you hate the Stag kettle? Because it has the big one. It has the same spout diameter pretty much as this, which is great for if you want to. This is great so you can go slow and controlled, or you can go hard and fast. Because sometimes you want to go hard and fast. I hope I don't need to explain that. Okay, so we got everything boiling. We're going to put a preponderance of water into the kettle so that we can try to maintain some level of thermal stability. Did I forget to press tear? It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me if I forgot to press tear. It says, Naomi, I tell you. Okay, this goes in here. And you have to put this in a certain way because there's a little bump that kind of helps to keep it captured. Now we're ready to go, right? We're ready to go. And then we need to press this button to activate the brewing. Oh, perfect. Okay, now let us pour. Oh, what am I doing here? I can't go that fast. We only do 87 grams. I'm thinking about going super fast on this thing. What is wrong with me? I'm thinking about like, oh, we need to go to 8 to 50 grams. No, we don't. We only have, 6 grams of coffee to use, and you're going to. I'm glad you feel better, Naomi. I wonder if maybe we should have done an immersion brewer. Okay, 34 grams. We are almost halfway there, so we're going a little bit too fast. My anxiety level is just very nice, very nice. So it's Thursday night on the Asia side of the world. So I'm presuming that Peter must be on his way to Shanghai. Because that seems like it would be a long trip. So 43 grams in, we're a minute to 15. We're a little bit fast. We're too ahead. We're too far ahead. So we need to go and like maybe control it a little bit better. But this is actually nice. For this little teeny tiny amount of coffee that we're brewing, this spout is very, very handy for that. So almost at 50 grams. We might end up with a little bit faster overall time. Now the question is, so one of the things I did is I ground it slightly finer than I would normally have ground it. And maybe the question you might be thinking is, why would you change that? You want to keep the same timing, the same everything, because nothing's really changed except for the overall quantity. And there could be a very good point there. Will the finer grind give us more extraction, over extraction, maybe more bitterness, maybe less pleasant notes? Those are all good questions. And maybe we'll find an answer now. I don't necessarily have an answer necessarily offhand, but I think that I've decided to fine it up a little bit more just so we create a little bit more resistance in the flow to hopefully extend things a little bit. Meaning that extend exposure time of the water to the coffee so that if there's greater resistance in the flow rate, then it goes through slower and has more opportunity to extract the flavors out of it. Oh, 3 minutes. Oh, we're almost okay. We're not too bad. Okay, now I feel like I'm an hour. Now I'm the one getting anxiety that we need to go faster. No, I guess we're all right. 80, 317. Yeah, we have 87 as our target. We're almost there. We will be just fine, I think. 84, 85, 87. All right. There it is. Very exciting way to brew. This is like championship level type of brewing here. Okay. That has flowed through just under 4 minutes now total time. One of the nice things about this particular brewer is that, or this carafe, is that it has a silicone tight spout, so we can take this and nicely keep it. Hopefully that'll hold some of the heat in, and then, as with all filters, you just take it out in. Beautiful. Okay, now we've got our stuff done. Now the Hopia, let's go to the Hopia, because that's really the main thing that we're here for today, because we like to eat. So now Hopia, like I said, is actually it's a Philippine dessert. And basically the Hopia, or the traditional style Hopia, I think was originally made with something called Munggo. And Munggo is a bean paste. So very similar, the Hopia is very similar in nature to the Chinese mooncake. And the origin of the Hopia is that it came with Chinese immigrants from Hokkien who brought this style of baking with them. Now, over the last 200 years, because they came like in the early 1800s. So it was Hopia was kind of codified as part of the Filipino cuisine, the pantheon of Filipino foods, by like a book that was published in 1860s. So it had to, for it to have been published in a book in the 1860s and been recognized as part of the Filipino cuisine, It must have come like in the early 1800s or maybe even in the late 1700s to the Philippines with these Hokkien immigrants, and became part of it. Now today you can find all kinds of different hopias, not just with the bean paste, but also with, of course, with things like ube and all these other stuff. And now the weird thing for me is that I did not grow up eating hopia that often because hopia, especially when I was young, living here on the East Coast, we don't really have a lot of Filipino things. Like there's like maybe a small grocery store for Filipino grocery store owned by this guy, and he couldn't bring everything. And so I didn't necessarily grow up eating this. So it's always kind of fun for me to try it, but it's very different. Now this particular one, this comes from a place called Ribbonette, and Ribbonette is one of the more well-known bake shops that make the hopia. Now this particular, like I said earlier, comes from a place called Tipas, and Tipas is a neighborhood in Taguig, which is in Metro Manila. Now you can go there and buy this, and the Tipas neighborhood actually, or the Tipas neighborhood, has become kind of like the epicenter of hopia production in the Philippines, right? Like what people regard as some of the very best hopia is made in Tipas, and there's a whole like style of hopia. Now, when you look at these, like here's I got the two of them right here, right? So we've got the two here. This is hopia baboy, and then this is the ube, right? And the ube, so the ube is, you've probably heard about this ube thing. Ube is a tuber, right? A sweet yam, purple in color, very popular in the Philippines and becoming wildly popular in cuisines in food scenes across the planet. Like certain foods, ube really is only made in the Philippines. Like that's where it really came from. And that's kind of where it grows, and that's not too many people cultivate it beyond that. However, while ube consumption seems to be exploding, production of ube is actually shrinking. Right, so when you go out and get ube stuff at the restaurants or whatever, chances are you're getting artificially flavored, synthesized ube. Not actually someone that took the yam and grated it and did the thing to make it part of that product. Most of it is going to be synthetic. So, but this will be truly authentic using the ube halaya, and the halaya meaning that they take the ube and they basically make an ube jam for the halaya. I don't know if they actually use halaya for this. I don't necessarily know the process of it, but as you can see, it uses a flaky pastry. Right? There's a flaky pastry. Now this is a little bit different. If you go to different places and you buy hopia from other sources that are not from Tipas, the crusts are very thick, much thicker than this. This looks like ultra thin. So we've got the crust, flaky pastry. So it's meant to be flaky, kind of like a laminated dough, but not quite. It's not made in the same way as laminated dough. I mean, that laminated doughs don't necessarily do well in the Philippines, mainly because, well, first of all, Philippines didn't really indigenously have wheat. That has to be all imported. A lot of wheat consumption started or really became popular in the Philippines because of the time during the American occupation, when they would bring wheat to the Philippines, and they kick-started the whole bread thing there. But a lot of this, I think, was made with rice flour at some point in time. These, I believe, are wheat. Let's see. Yeah, wheat flour. So these are wheat flour-based products. As you can see, sugar, mungo oil. Oh, and they're using mungo oil instead of that. Margarine, ube powder. See, even here they're using ube powder and ube food color and ube flavor. They're even here, they're nobody. So while, like again, it goes back to even in the Philippines, you've got this thing where their ube production or ube consumption is high. Ube production is like falling. Farmers are losing it because they can't. Nobody's buying it from them because they can buy this synthetic. George says, Bird's Eye View is working. Oh, yeah. Thank goodness we're having good streaming service here. Prabhupada says it's starting. And then Noemi says, is baboy and ube the name of the flavor? So yes. The baboy and ube are the name of the flavors. Now, baboy is the name, the Tagalog name for pig. So hopiang baboy means that there is pig used in it. So if you're vegan like yourself, you probably shouldn't eat this. So let's have a look here what they say in here. Flour, sugar, oil, water, onion. Now, where they're not putting the baboy part, the baboy part really is that the oil is really more of like lard, pork lard. Why they don't say that, I don't know. So, but it's a very, this is more along an onion. There's a little bit of onion here. And now this is more along the lines of kind of mooncakey-ish. Not really. But, and you can even see here with the baboy, it's very different shape. Most hopia that you'll see from Filipino bakeries is going to be round, typically bigger than this. Like these are actually, to my viewpoint, these are quite small. Like they're typically like maybe just a little bit bigger, right? But these are very small. Now these come also, these are also, there's also very similar baked goods like this, like what's it called? It's called Bakpia in Indonesia. And I believe it's called Poi in Chinese. But the whole thing with the hopia itself, this style of hopia is really very Filipino because it's been there long enough that it has morphed into its own thing from its original state as an imported product or as a product brought by immigrants. Power plants love starch on starch food. Yes. You know, one of my favorite things to eat, like if I'm in like Taipei, is to go to the breakfast joint and you get the youtiao in the words fail me today. But basically you get the youtiao, which is this long, like basically it's that kind of like unsweet Chinese style churro. And then they have this like flatbread that they use, and you can put eggs and stuff in it for breakfast. Now I can't remember the name, but they take the youtiao and they put it into the comal or the plancha or the flat top baked or cooked flatbread. It has sesame seeds on it, and then you eat that with like your sweetened soy milk. I love that, and that is just totally starch on starch with soy, so it can't be, you know, I mean, if you don't do it every day in like mass quantities, it should be fine, but I love that. Russell says, I remember eating hopia in Chicago at Little Quiapo. Oh, nice. Not sure of spelling. You know, you've got the spelling. I think for the little part of Little Quiapo, if it's the chain that thing, but it's actually spelled with the TTLE. But otherwise, perfectly good spelling, perfect spelling on those. For both hopia, quiapo, and halo halo. And halo halo, and speak if those who may be wondering, like, what is this halo halo? Halo halo is like the famous Filipino dessert. Basically, they have all these preserved fruits, things like little bits of jackfruit. There are like red beans, like a sweet azuki bean kind of thing. Sometimes some sweetened white beans. There are I said langka. There's cocoa gel, like a gelatin, coconut gelatin, jelly. What else is in there? I'm totally forgetting. Kaong, which is another type of coconut gelatin, like pill-shaped thing. Some people will put like sweet banana. Some people will put pinipig, which is kind of like Rice Krispies. And then typically you put that with very fine shaven milk or shaven ice, evaporated milk. Some people will put pieces of leche flan. I personally like it mine very finely shaven ice, like the style of ice from like shave ice in Hawaii, with the sweetened condensed milk, a little bit of strawberry syrup, a little cube of the leche flan, and maybe a little bit of like vanilla ice cream. Now I know a lot of people like the ube ice cream, but ube is good. But you know what? My brother was the ube guy. Like he loved ube. He ate ube a lot, like all the time. Me, I was kind of like, okay, it's good. It's like me and sweet potatoes. Like sweet potatoes are good, but I'm not like rushing out to have them. Like if you give me French fries or sweet potato fries, chances are I'm going to choose the French fries unless they have batter on them. And I think that's an abomination. So I will not choose that. I will then probably choose the sweet potato fries, or maybe I might elect not to eat it. No, that would not be true. That would not be true. Mom, good morning to you. Power said, oh, like a cruller. Yes, very similar to a cruller, but without the sweetness, right? And a long, tubular cruller. M0 says, words failed me today. Yeah, I've been feeling that. It happens. You know, it happens. Mom says, I'm home today. Oh, nice. I'm back up in New York City. Excellent. Andrew asked, Filipino mochi. You mean in the halo halo, or this is like Filipino mochi? This is not like Filipino mochi. This is not like mochi, and anything. I don't think it's like mochi. I wouldn't say it's like mochi in most any respect. Maybe a slight chewiness. In the halo halo, you could put mochi. I probably would be very. Actually, when I go to the frozen yogurt places, you know, the place where you pump out your frozen yogurt, like with the, and you got the toppings. Like I'll just go get the regular tardy, plain old yogurt. And then the only topping I put is the little mochi balls because I just love that combination. Like my niece will get all kinds of stuff on it. My nephew will put all kinds of stuff. Me, I just want the tart with the mochi balls. That's all I need. That's all I need. Cruller DeVille says, Jordan, I like that. Or did you say that? Okay, maybe this is a case where, okay, so did now that I'm reading this, did I miss it earlier? So George is saying that power plant, what a great idea for mobile food business. Cruller DeVille, baked goods from the backseat of a Cadillac. Now, are we? Is this a situation where YouTube has dropped the comments again? Because I don't. If Power Plant said Cruller DeVille, and George is responding to that, then I didn't see the Cruller DeVille at all. The first Cruller DeVille reference that I saw was when George mentioned it. So, if we're still trying to see if there's drop messages, let me know. Power Plant says, I like Singapore Malay ice kacang. Oh, I'm not there. You've had that. Actually, I need to go to Singapore and actually get out of the airport. It is very complex. Definitely a sweet, but had several savory components as well. Ooh, that sounds very interesting. But Korean bingsu is the king of all shaved ice snacks. You know, I am challenged to agree with that, but only because I don't think I've had any really great bingsu, right? Like, I've been to a couple of places that had bingsu that were like Korean restaurants, but I don't think they were like amazing. And I think that I'm just missing out. Like, I think if you go to certain places that will have like truly amazing product, like for example, let's say you go to Hawaii, right? And you go to shave ice in Hawaii. Like everybody goes to Matsumoto's in the North Shore, which is perfectly fine. But I think the people that are in the know like Wyola. And who was it? Somebody mentioned the other week about another place for shave ice. Or like kakigori, for example, right? Like if you go to Japan and you go to these different, they have a lot of places that have kakigori, and you try. And one year I was like, they're at the right time, so I'm like kakigori, and so I went to a bunch of places. But if you go to this one, so you go to these places, they have nice kakigori, right? Again, like a bingsu, ice with flavor. And then you go to a place like Himitsudo over in Kayaba, and you're like, oh my god. It's like transcendental. You're like, oh. So I would like to try really amazing bingsu. Like I think I would love to have that. Kyoto says it's interesting that a place in Asia has one form of shave ice or another, from Korea, Japan, China, and Southeast Asia. Does any Western countries? I mean, I think so, because like here, like how I got into the shave ice business years ago was because Baltimore has a very strong snowball culture, which is very similar. The traditional snowball style, though, was much more coarser ground ice, which I grew up eating here. But when I discovered shave ice and the fine quality of the ice, I was like, oh, this is so much more superior. It's not soupy, it's not all this like, you're not drinking a drink. You're actually like suspending the syrups in the ice. And that to me was like, because like as I was growing up, we would have halo, which is good. But like, again, if you're using crushed ice versus the shaved ice, it's so the experience is totally different. Totally different. And that's to me the experiential difference, let's say, between Wyola and Matsumoto is that I have convinced myself, and I don't know if there's any truth in it, but I have convinced myself that Wyola makes their own ice, and they put a small percentage of sugar, which I think gives it this incredibly fine texture. I've never really researched it. I have no real basis for this. I just think that in the times that I've actually tested that out, I got decent results, but I also got a layer of like sticky syrup on the top of the ice block. So I don't think, and I've watched that Wyola, how they do it. I'm like, man, they're not really tempering the ice. They're pulling it from the freezer and running with it. And you can't really take super cold ice and shave it with great quality because it's just too hot. You need some level of melting, right? Which is why when you look at the commercial shavers, they actually have a brass plate that the ice sits on, because I think that helps with the melting quality to get better texture. I use Japanese shavers from a company called Fujimarka, and they're very Japanese. They have a whole different level of thinking about things, right? To our benefit, of course. Parplan says at Kyoto they have ice cream and Italians. Oh yeah, they have ice cream and Italians have some icy sweets like sorbetto and brie. Oh, there, see, perfect example. George says misspelled cruller, which is what inspired. I gotcha. Okay. M0 says, I can't wait to go to Southeast Asia. State and old dudes really get in the way. It's obvious that people are picking who they'd like to travel and experience different quiet histories. Oh, interesting. I think that I don't really run into old dudes too much. It depends. It depends where I go. Like, let's say I'll spend a whole month in Manila or something like that. And for the most part, I don't really see the old dudes. If I go to certain areas, then you'll see them a lot. And it's interesting because I've come across some videos on YouTube where these Filipino women or even like American guys or Western guys are talking about like dating Filipino girls in the Philippines and about their expectations and what they do. And I'm just kind of like, you're going to the bars to meet girls. There's a lot of pitfalls in that. Like, I get it, you're there because you have a certain intent, but you're falling in love with these girls and they don't, and I don't know why the correlation doesn't exist, right? But like the women, a lot of them will work in bars because they need to they're trying to make a better living, right? Because maybe their opportunity isn't as good as others because they come from, less opportune backgrounds. But these guys seem to expect them to, I don't know. It's very strange. It's like you see them that, I'm in love and I'm going to, do all this. I'm going to send them money and all this. And what are you doing, dude? It's like, anyway. Parplan says kakigori is not very nice. It's not very nice. Too much. I think it depends where you go, right? Like I said, if you go to a place like Himitsudo, it's very different. Like, it's really great. Like, these guys are using the last time I was there, they had I got the strawberry, right? And they're taking fresh strawberries and they're mashing it and creating a syrup out of this strawberry. So there's pulpiness in it. And then I ate, and they serve it this huge. They're kind of like the bingsu size, right? Just massive. And you're like, oh God, I'm full of that. And it's also busy as all heck there. Like, you have to wait in line. But they had this one that I wanted to try. I was like, I should have ordered. I should order that too. Like, sit there and order another one. But it was just too much. But they had one that had 3 different types of oranges. I was like, oh, a blend of oranges. I was like, oh. But I think it's just with anything. Like, you can find high quality of any example. And that's why I'm saying with the bingsu, like, I just don't think I've had really great bingsu. So my reaction to bingsu is typically tepid, only because I just haven't experienced a great one. M0's dealing with the worst micromanagement. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Okay, that's right. Shimazu or North School Street. Okay, Shimazu or North School. I remember that. They're not the ones that are open at like they sell like also bento boxes at like 3 a.m. That's not. There's a place we would go. I can't. My cousin likes to go there. I can't remember. It was like 2 a.m. We're getting bentos at this place on School Street. Kenny says, I'm an old dude married for 12 years to a Thai wife, not into. I don't think I mean, just because you're from outside the country doesn't mean they're into bars. Like, I think you can go to any of these countries and find beautiful, wonderful, wonderful people to meet and to have relationships and fall in love and get married and have families and all that. But I think that when you go to the bars, there are, I think, inherent impediments to that idyllic sense of what you'd like to have. I think. M0 says, meaning that World War II baby boomers, not their daddies, turned class clowns. Oh, gosh. Okay, gotcha. Old Baltimore. Oh, understood. Power Plant says, in South Korea, they have a machine that instantly creates flaky snow like ice. Ooh, that sounds interesting. They also use milk, not water. The texture is fun. I see. I need to go. What you need to do is let me know. For the next time I go to Seoul, let me know what's the place to go to, and then I'll go try it. There are good Morgan State types, and they're awful. Oh my. No doubt. I understand what you're saying. Power Plant says, I've had fancy kakigori and it was fine, but not all that special. I tried at several department stores in Ginza. Yeah, but I think that's the problem, right? If you go to, there's fine quality. And I think there's the stuff that's really amazing. And I don't think places like Ginza and the department stores are a place where you really find that typically, right? You have to go to the small joints, the weird joints, the places where like the guys are super hyper focused. Right? The nice places, you'll get nice quality, perfectly fine quality, but not that psychotic level of quality, right? You understand? I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. Kilda says, a shave ice tasting tour along with cafe stuff. I think that would be great. We could go to, like, if we were to do it in Seoul, we could go to Gimisa and have great coffee with Inyeong, and then get bingsu, get great bingsu, and then also get some mandu or some K barbecue would be nice. Or you know what? We need to stop talking so much and taste. It's time to taste. Let's do some tasting here. Let's do the first one, the Hopia Baboy. And we're going to take a bite. So as you can see, it is nice, a bit flaky. Let's tear it open. What's on the inside? So this one has a little bit of filling. But like I said, it's the major ingredients: flour, sugar, oil, water, and onion. So nothing, it's more, there's a little bit of this pasty thing here. Oh yeah, it does have that little bit of porkiness to it. Sweet, but also a little bit of that like a lardy. Like I want to say like chicharron flavor, but not chicharron flavor, but like kind of like there's a character when you're eating chicharron, a porky character. And you get that in this. You get that in this with it because of the pork lard that they're using. Right, they make a filling and they wrap it, but the crust is very thin and rather flaky. Actually, it's quite a nice. So you can see it doesn't break off easily or into like larger sheets necessarily. So oops. But there it is. That's the. Actually, that's really great. All right, it's pretty awesome. Let's have a little bit of our coffee. just gonna pour it all out. Philippine coffee, the Finca de Garces. Now it's a natural process, so there's like fruitiness to it. Very, very clean, sweet. This coffee's pretty old. It's pretty darn good. Okay, now let's look at the ube of the Ube Hopia. Yeah, no, sweet and porky. Not porky like I wouldn't say it's porky like you're eating pork ribs, but there's a character of flavor, of sensation that you have when you're eating chicharron or fried pork rinds. Not necessarily the really thin fried pork rinds that you have at commercially in America, but like the ones if you go to like the stores that from like Louisiana, or you go to those barbecue joints where they got the thick, like where they're actually using the skin, they're frying the skin, and it's like super like crunchy and thick, like that kind of. There's a character of that flavor that is apparent or present here. And Filipinos love pork, so I think that's why Hopia Baboy is so popular, right? Now, I guess the next popular would be the ube. So let's break into it here. We're breaking into it now. So you can see the flakiness of the crust, right? The flakiness. And you can also see the texture through the way that it's baked. These are actually made like similar in style to how, why can't I think of the names of these things today? But you know how when you get in Japan, you get the fish cake that has like the bean filling or the cream filling, and they're using those double-sided like irons to cook it. These are made in very similar type of heating devices. So as you can see here, the filling is a little bit more solid, and definitely more structure. You know what? If I hadn't read the direction or the ingredients, it looks to me like this. I might have thought that there was actually ground ube inside this, but evidently not. But that's actually really nice looking in texture. Actually, that's quite nice. Let me take a photograph of that. Kieran's asking, is ube sweet potato or true yam? I believe it is a true yam, a sweet yam. Because it's I believe so. George wants to know, are you going to take eventually. Power Plant says, once you had great bingsu, you would take back I'm always open to taking back my skepticism. And my skepticism is only because I've just had, I think what I would presume is run-of-the-mill bingsu. Power Plant says, priority knowledge, Trump testing, and theorizing. Of course. Yeah, the ube one does look good, Naomi. It does look good. Marcus says, how does the synthetic ube taste compared to real ube? I probably only had the fake kind. I mean, it's pretty good, right? I mean, it's pretty good. And why, and prior to me getting into like sourcing of like local ingredients for restaurants and for the bakery, when I was involved with Shave Ice production, I was like always curious about like flavorings and creating flavors for syrups. And I remember one of the things that really kind of changed my mind on artificial flavorings, or just reshaped my thinking on artificial flavorings, was that we were at the McCormick Development Center. One of the guys that I knew was giving me a tour about how they develop flavors. And one of the methods they use is they were showing me how to use a gas chromatograph. And a chromatograph is something where you feed in a gas in this particular case. I think they also have like substance chromatographs. And these machines will measure the chemical composition of any ingredient. So let's say you take a strawberry and you put it in the machine, and it analyzes it and then gives you a formulation of that strawberry at that moment, right? So it shows you all the different compounds in all the different quantities, And I mean, there could be like, just a few compounds. There could be hundreds of compounds, and all in varying quantities, right? Some are minuscule, but it's measuring all of them so that you can have analysis. And I was talking to him. I was like, well, how do you figure out how to create? And he said, well, this is how we create it. We let's say we take this. Let's say we like the flavor of this strawberry on this day. We run it through the machine. We look at the analysis of it. We look at the compounds used. And then we take those compounds, those individual compounds, mix them in those quantities. And now some of them may have like minuscule amounts of like a lot of different ones. So they'll omit some because it's kind of ingredients are expensive to this kind of production. And they'll create a flavor based on that is close to the flavor they're trying to mimic. It was one of those things that just kind of underscored to me that, everything is chemicals, right? It's all chemical composition. And so if you're just taking chemicals, it's not produced necessarily in the ground through nature, but it's still somewhat similar. Not that makes it any different to my mind necessarily, but it did kind of change the way I perceive things a little bit. And so if you get the ube, you can make, and the ube flavorings are, pretty ube tasting. There's the purest side of me wants to have it from mashed ube. That's just, and I think it's a sad footnote or sad reality for ube is that as popularity has increased tremendously worldwide, the ube farmers are like not enjoying any of that. So, all right, let's have a look here at it's a nice texture. The texture looks nice. The flakiness is more apparent of the shell of this, and this is definitely softer of the center. Maybe because it's different, meaning that it doesn't have the lard. This ube version has what's called the oil from Mongo to create the texture there. Now, unlike a lot of like ube flavored stuff here in the United States, the ube flavor is actually, I would say, a little bit more accurate, or just not as intense, a little bit more subtle. Actually, that's really good. No one's asking, do you hear a cat? No, there is no cats here. No cats. I am not a cat guy. No, he says, I love the Okinawan Hawaiian sweet potato, just roasted plain, so I don't eat too many. Oh, that. Somebody recently, not too long ago, or over the winter or something like that, was telling me, when you take your sweet potato and freeze it. Like, what? Freeze it, and then from the freezer, put it in the oven and roast it. And I was like, what? It's like, that's how you get the best texture. And I was like, what? Come on, man. Let me try that. So I tried it. Ooh, it's good. It's good. I don't know if you guys do that. Maybe you guys already know about that. I'm a new convert to that style. So actually, I have a bag of sweet potatoes, the Japanese type of sweet potatoes, in the freezer. For whenever I get that hankering. Kaplan says Cavendish is doomed for, yes. And interesting about the Cavendish is that there's a lot of banana flavors, like artificial banana flavors out there, like kind of like that candy banana, right? It has a candy banana taste because you ate candies, at least here in the United States, you ate candies growing up that are banana flavored. It tastes like a certain way. That's not the banana flavor that we're used to now. That's not the Cavendish. It's whatever. I can't remember the name, but there was another variety of banana prior to the Cavendish that we eat today that I think died of blight. It was also wiped out because of blight or whatever, genetic aberrations was happening to it. And eventually the banana that we have today will go away. And maybe within the next 10 years, I think it's going to be gone. But I'm sure that Del Monte and all them are working on a replacement for it. Never says, I need to go get a snack. Yeah, I know. It makes you too hungry here. Yes, freeze the uncooked potato and then straight into the oven. It improves the texture. Much more silky. At first I was like, huh? Really? But I thought, you know what, how bad would it, I mean, how much would it harm me to try it? I mean, probably better for me to keep sweet potatoes in the freezer than a tub of ice cream, right? Kiona says there are some amazing varieties of banana in Southeast Asia. Apple banana. Oh, yeah, the apple banana. That is good stuff. I wish that would be like more commercially viable. So you can. I love the smaller ones. The small. Most varieties of small banana I really like. So, all right. Well, there it is. The Hopia Baboy from Ribbonette. Ribbonette in Tipas Hopia, Metro Manila. Really, really nice. And this is not something, unfortunately, this is not something I don't think is available in America. It may be available in other parts of the world, depending where you are. Like, if you're interested, but if you are interested in trying it, like if you look around and find like a local, like Asian market or Filipino geared market, especially, chances are they're going to have some version of this, and you can try it for yourself to see what you like. Now, like I said, this is from a style that it comes from a place called Tipas, and Tipas is a neighborhood. But this particular type of approach to Hopia is really known and specific to the Tipas area. Like there's a couple of other bakeries that do this. There's a place called the Original Tipas Bakery, as well as Ribbonette. And people do go from all over the region to have this stuff. So, although interestingly enough, this is Ribbonette's, but this says Ribbonette's manufactured by Sweet Cassie. So it looks like maybe Ribbonette's is doing so much business they actually farm that out to a different company to do their fulfillment. Huh. We even have nutritional facts. 150 calories per serving. So one piece, 42 grams. Total fat, 8%. Cholesterol, no. Sodium, 2%. That's good. Carbohydrates, 8. All right, nice. Power Plant says, I'll die on the hill for being sure. I do. I think you made that clear. Kiana says there are also a couple of varieties that still have large seeds. Yeah. I've never had bananas that actually had seeds or like big seeds you had to spit out. But you do slice the currant bananas, the cabbage, but you can kind of see the seeds in there. But like, I've heard of bananas that have like big seeds, but I've never had one like that. I don't think. All right, that's it for today. Go try the Hopia if you have the chance. I think you might enjoy it. Have some coffee with it. It's actually quite nice. George says, let's do a banana show. Maybe we can get Senorita variety. Ooh, okay. I'll look for some bananas. See what we can find. All right, so tomorrow we'll be back again with another episode of the Coffee Q&A. And tomorrow is going to be the Omniel episode. So like I mentioned earlier this week, Omniel sent me 3 coffees because he had some questions, some issues that he wasn't sure about and wanted just to have my thoughts on it. So I told him I'd be happy to do it. So we're going to do that tomorrow. So come and join us for a tasting of different espressos. Trying to figure out, is there anything good to have or is there anything bad? Power Plant says Chinese mooncakes are tasty as well. Yes, yes, absolutely. I love September time because that's when the mooncakes come. And I like the lotus with the egg. That's what I like. Or any of them works fine for me. They're just so dense, right? Like this, you can eat. I can eat one of these. I can't eat one of those. Like that's just too much. Right. Kia ora, have a great day. Have a great day to you. A great night to you there in Krongtep. Oh, and it's rain. It's very rainy. Kent, you too, man. Have a great one. Power Plant says moon cakes are so labor intensive they will die. All right. You too, M0. All right. Have a wonderful day or evening out there, and see you next time.